Hello, welcome. I'm here to do some Apple II card stuff. Not sure how many people are here yet. Let me reconnect this thing. There we go. I've got this big bin full of Apple II stuff, and I thought it would be probably a good time to go through all of it and figure out what it all is and see if some of it works. So let's see what we got. I'm going to start with the smaller bin, and let me make the workstation the main thing. I've got this little bin full of stuff. This is a phone jack for a modem board. See if we can find that. So I've got an 80 column card here for an Apple IIe. This one has 64K of socketed RAM, which is pretty cool. I think what I'm going to do is put these in these smaller bins as I go, sort of by type, and that way we can come back to them and test them all in little groups. Let's see, let me do this. So there's 80 column cards, and do some drive controller cards. This is a regular 5 1/4 inch controller with a DB19. This would be for a Unidisc or a Duodisc. These usually are pretty reliable, but I really want to try them all out. Got a lot of miscellaneous parts mixed in here. Here's another 80 column card. This is an Applied Engineering. It's got Samsung RAM on it. It looks like a clone of the Apple card. Same basic setup. Of course, Applied Engineering was pretty smart. They actually have fewer components than the Apple one. Next up, oh look, another 80 column card. This one is an Apricorn, and apparently this could have been set up as a 1K or 64K card. This one's 64K. It's got Texas Instruments RAM on it. It's socketed, that's cool. So this would be good reusable RAM for an Apple IIe or a 2C. What do we got next? This, I think, is a parallel printer card. It's a not sure how to read that. Wesper Microsystems something. Don't know if I have anything to test that with, so I'll put that aside. Hey Garth, how you doing? Another 80 column card, Sequential Systems RAM 80. This is also a 2E card, and it has soldered RAM, more Texas Instruments, basically another clone of the Apple. And then this guy here has a big ribbon cord. A loose screw, that's good. Oh, I know what this is. This is a Chatsworth Data Corporation interface, and this actually works with a sort of Scantron type reader device, and I do have that that device. I have never tested the card and the device together because I didn't know where this card was till just now. So I'm gonna set this one aside separately. So that we can test that on another video. This was a random find in a used Apple II. And I'm going to set you right over here. And this is a modern card. This is actually just a voltage card. You plug this into an Apple II slot and it will give you readings of plus and minus 5 volts and plus and minus 12 volts on these little cool little LED displays. This was something I was using when I was testing a whole bunch of Apple IIs, and it was a quick way to just see if the PSU was putting out good voltage. This I'm going to set aside as like a diagnostic card. And then we've got a CFFA 3000. This is a modern card, or modern-ish. It's from the last 10 years. This lets you read USB or compact flash cards, and you can emulate hard drives and floppy drives with it. So if you don't have a real floppy or a real hard drive for your Apple II or your 2GS, then you can use one of these. These are still available, I think, a couple $100, but very convenient device. And that's something that I'm going to use in a system I'm going to build soon. So we'll set that aside too. Next up is, this is another modern card, GG Labs SCSI card. This is basically a clone of an Apple II or an Apple Rev C SCSI card. It's not the high-speed version, but it's just the regular version. Basically, you can add SCSI to your Apple II, 2E, 2GS. This was kind of the way to go before things like the Booty and the CFFA came out. You can use this with a blue SCSI too, which is kind of cool. I don't really have a use for this card right now. There was some question about moving ProDOS images from a Mac and then using them with this, with the blue SCSI. I think that problem got sorted out. But I'll set that aside just in case we need to take a look at that at some point. Actually, I'm going to make a box for the modern stuff. Let's see, I'm going to put the SCSI card in there, and I'm going to put the CFFA in there. And we're almost done with this little box of stuff. What do we got left? Got a bracket. And then we've got two little Apple IIe 80 column cards. These are from usually later models, these little small ones. Instead of using 8 64 by 1s, they used 2 64 by 4s. Way lower chip count. There's generally, I don't think I've ever run into one of these that's broken, but I'll try them out. So I'll put that in here with the 80 column cards. And so I'm done with that little tub. What's this paper in here? Oh, it's how to use a Disk 2 controller. That's exciting. So, and then over here I've got another parallel printer interface. This one's actually a original Apple one from '79. It's kind of neat. And it has the cord with it. This would be great for a Apple dot matrix printer like the original one. Looks like somebody built their own jumper pack here. So that is something I can actually test out. I've got a printer that would work with. I think I'll leave that in its bag for now, though. Hey, Garth. Yeah, I'm going to test some. I'm going to test all these 80 column cards, and I'm going to test some of the disc controller cards. I'm not going to test the printer cards. Let's see, I'm going to put this printer card in this bucket, along with that one. And now I've got this huge bucket of cards to look at. Here we have a very dusty Apple ROM card. This is from '78. This is what you would use on your original Apple II or a II Plus to add ROMs to your computer. Say you had integer ROMs, the old original stuff, and you wanted to add AppleSoft or the other way around. You can populate this with the chips, the ROM chips, and then this toggle switch chooses between the onboard ROM or the ROM on this card. This card actually I've tested and it works fine. This one gives you, I think this one is the AppleSoft one, but if we have time we'll check that one. I have to get out an original 2 to try that. This here is a Checkmate Technology multi-RAM card. This is one I just recently got. This is an 80 column card, but this adds 768K of RAM, and it's in 3 banks of 256, Bank A, Bank B, and Bank C. This one is completely populated, and the third bank has got different type of RAM, so I'm thinking this probably shipped with 512. And then somebody added the last 256. And then what I've been told recently was that this header here lets you add another RAM card on top of this and another 768 for 1.5 megabytes, which to me is kind of insane for an Apple II. But this I've actually already tested when I got it, and it works totally fine. So I don't know that I'm ever going to need that much RAM in a 2E. These same chips will work on an Apple II GS card, and they'll also work on a Apple branded memory card. And that card can go up to 1 megabyte. So I don't know if I'll leave all these chips on here. And I think I might have another one of these coming my way too. So we'll see. Now that cloning that, yeah, you could clone this card really easily. All it is 6 ROM sockets, and then the rest of the whole card is just looks like 74 logic. So I don't know if anybody's cloned this. They probably have by now. I mean, it's been around for a long time. This one is so old it says made in USA. So I'll put that on the ancient pile. Next up is another disk controller. This one's a little bit newer because instead of saying Apple Computer, it says Apple, and it has an FCC ID. This is after they started getting to where they had to certify. But it's basically the same as this other card that I showed earlier. It's based off the original Disk 2 card. And I just noticed this one has one of these DB19 to IDC20 adapters. This is the thing that Steve lost. I have a few of these. This is what comes with a floppy EMU. But that I will set aside. Let's see, I've got 3 of them here. So one of them is blue and 2 of them are black. I don't know what that means. But I want to test that. That one still has the screws on it too. And then I've got an original Apple II disk interface card. This is a 16 sector version that you can tell because it has the little 16 Apple sticker on it. This is the original Apple II drive controller from 1978. I went over all these drive controllers in my other video about Apple II disks, but basically this is the same electronically as this. They just changed the ribbon cables out for a DB19 to be a little bit more modern. I know for a fact there's one of these in this pile that doesn't work, so I want to try all these out. Up next is a 3.5-inch disc controller. And this one also has a DB19, but this card is designed to control 800K and 1.4 megabyte external floppy drives. This is kind of a late card for the Apple II. This came out in 1991. I also went over this in the video about the drive controllers. And for this particular one, it's kind of special, so I'm going to put it, let's see, I'm going to put it back in its original box, which is right here. And this has got the screw downs, it's got the disc, the manuals, and it's got this little fuzzy thing here. But what I want to find is a anti-static bag, and I think I've got one right over here. Yeah. So let's put this guy away. Right in there. It fits. And then we'll just store him away for later. I've actually got two of these. One of them is in my Platinum, and then I've got this one. I had pulled this out for that video, and I never put him back in. So let's stick you over here. Hey Garth, I've got a 2E mouse in the box up on the shelf with the card, and it's, I believe it's a Platinum one. So up next is a Video 7 80 column and RGB video card, which is kind of hard to find. These have a DB15, which outputs digital RGB video, and this is designed to work with the Apple M100 RGB monitor. And then somebody on Facebook today actually posted they were trying to use one of these. They had the Apple OEM version, and they're trying to use it with the 2GS monitor, and that won't work directly. But if you get Joe's RGB, his universal RGB adapter, which he designed for the Apple III, this is the same output as an Apple III Plus, and you can use a 2GS monitor with this card, as long as you get his adapter. I think it's about $20 if you buy the kit, and it also will let you do CGA. So that adapter is really cool. If you can find one of these cards, though, that's the problem. Usually you just have to luck out and find one in a 2E. If they're ever sold separately, they're a couple $100. This is the one I want to use with my M100 when I do that video, and I'm still waiting on the last parts for that, which is annoying. But I'm going to put video cards in their own bucket. And you going to stay? No. You can stay down there. So here's a kind of a weird one. This is an older card. It's got a piggybacked ROM. This is a really old 80 column card for the Apple II or Apple II Plus. It's got RCA in and out. Basically, you plug the Apple II's video into it, and then you plug the monitor in the out of it. And when you switch to 80 column mode, it passes. When you're in 40 column mode, it passes through, and when you're in 80 column mode, it switches to using its own stuff. This one has a lot of components on it for an 80 column card, which is kind of weird. It has what looks like a ceramic CPU on it. I'm not sure what it is because there's a little heat sink on there. It's got a ROM here and another ROM here, and I think this is SRAM. So this is something I definitely want to test out. I'm gonna need to plug in a original Apple II for that in a minute. So I'm gonna put that with the old cards. I don't think there's a Z80 on there. I don't. Everybody told me it's just an 80 column card. It's like an insane amount of chips. Now here's but we'll go back to that. Here's another video card for the 2E. This is a Taxan. It has a 64K to give you 128K RAM, and it's similar to the Apple Video 7 M100 card, except for this one outputs analog RGB. So this actually works directly with a 2GS monitor. I have this because it came with a Taxan RGB CRT that used DB15 on this end, and it used a weird connector on the monitor end. This I've tested and it works. It's made by Video 7, even though it's Taxan branded, and it's based off the same card. It's just that they do analog rather than digital. And then these dip switches here change the default text colors and some other cool stuff. This card I've tested, and when you run it, you can run it off a 2GS monitor. You can run a Sony PVM off of it directly as long as you have the right cable. And the pinout is just a little weird. So if you use it with a 2GS, you've got to fiddle with that. But otherwise, it's a pretty cool card. These are also really hard to find. Any of the Video 7 stuff, that's who made the best Apple II video cards was Video 7. But I'm going to put this with the in the video card box. And then next we got a Apple Super Serial card. These are really common. You find these a lot without the cord, and this is not an original cord. This is actually one I made up from some PC serial port stuff, and I found some that used the same pinout. I just crimped the connector on there. These are like in an educational Apple II. These are pretty much in every single one of them. If you want to use ADD Pro, this is perfect for that. And I know this particular one works. Basically, if it has this new connector on it, then it's working. These are cool because they have a jumper, so you can change the mode from like printer to modem. There's a whole bunch of jumpers, so you can set your baud rates and your parity, non-parity, all that stuff. If you're into serial stuff, this is probably the best card there was. There's a lot of clones of these. And it's not that complicated, but there is a ROM on it. I think a lot of the clones got in trouble because they cloned the ROM. But I'm going to put that with the printer cards. This is like a communications card. Let's see, that doesn't go there. That goes there. I gotta make sure I don't show the address on this. What's in here? Oh, this little box has a Apple II modem card in it, which is sort of funny. This one's got a speaker on it, so you could hear it dialing and connecting, and a big old NEC ROM and a transformer, and then this little doohickey here plugs in the board and gives you your phone jack on the back. It doesn't give you any pass-through or anything, so you basically have to plug this straight into the phone line or use a splitter. I don't actually have a phone line anymore, so I can't currently test these. So I'm going to put that to the side. What do we got next? Oh, this is something I want to test. I haven't been able to test this yet. This is a language card for a Apple II or II Plus. This is what you would use with your 48K Apple II to add another 16K. Apple made these, Microsoft made these. This particular one is a clone. It's a JDR Micro. This goes in the same spot where that ROM card that I showed earlier would usually go. Back in the old days, like in the original days, you would just switch ROMs, and nobody ever had enough RAM to actually have 64K. After a while, people settled on AppleSoft, so you'd put AppleSoft in the ROM on the motherboard, and then you would fill up the RAM, and then you would just add this. So the language card name came from, originally you'd put AppleSoft or integer language in the slot, and everybody just called whatever went in that slot a language card. So this doesn't actually change the language, the AppleSoft or integer on the computer. It just is RAM, basically. But this gives you 16K right here, and it's all 4116s, so this uses 12 and 5 volts. It's super old school. This particular one, I don't know if it has a date on it. Oh, there we go. Copyright 82. So this would be sort of late in the game for an Apple II Plus. The 2E came out the year later. But I do want to test this, so I'm going to put that in the box of stuff we're going to test. And I'll put that baggie aside, and this baggie aside. And well, here's a weird one. This is a Focus IDE hard drive card. This is late. This is from '98. This would have been for 2GS usually. Originally, this had a IDE hard drive clamped on here and plugged into this IDE header. I went ahead, that hard drive failed, so I went ahead and I put a IDE laptop to compact flash adapter on it. And so I got, I think this is a 1 gig card, something like that. And you could put a whole bunch of ProDOS partitions on there. This card needs a driver, and it's really finicky, but I did get it to work in my 2GS one time. I'm going to call this a modern card because 98 is really late for an Apple II peripheral. So I'm going to put that with the modern stuff. Yeah, Garth, did you miss it? I have one right here. It's one of the first ones I pulled out. This one has a 512 meg card on it. This is a more modern one, but I have this, and I did find the little external push button thingy just yesterday. So I was going to put this, I think, in a 2GS, because I kind of like the floppy EMU better on the 2E because mostly everything I run on there is floppy images. I think this thing's great. I like the fact that it has USB and compact flash, so you kind of have a choice. You can just load up everything you normally use on there, and then if you want to add something, you just throw it in the USB. But yeah, these are excellent. Excuse me. All right, I've got another Disk 2 interface card. I'm not sure why this one's wrapped up, but I do want to test this. This might be one that somebody traded to me or something. I have a lot of cards that I get that I don't even ever try out. It's just another regular standard Disk 2 card. Doesn't have a 16 sticker on it, so it's probably later, but you never know. I can look at the ROM numbers to compare. Oh, 128. Let's see. 027. Can't read that. Yeah, they're the same ROM numbers as a 16-bit card, or a 16-sector card. So nothing special there, but we'll try it out. Yeah, I don't know why they didn't key this stuff. I mean, that's the one thing that Woz got wrong on this card. This is a card that Woz actually designed himself. I don't know if it was to save a couple of cents or what. I mean, it is labeled where pin 1 is, but it's so easy to plug it in one row off. Everybody else did that, put keyed connectors like the Franklin ones, the laser ones. all the clone cards, they all had a keyed connector. Apple never actually bothered. I mean, they made this up until 84 or so, and then they just switched over to the DB19. So I don't know what the deal was. Up next is a memory card. And I'm not sure if this works either, so I'll have to try it. This is from the mid-80s. This is a 1 meg Apple II. This is known as a Slinky card. This one's fully populated. It's 4 different types of RAM, though, so this was slowly added onto, I guess. It's got Hitachi, Texas Instruments. There's some Fairchild RAM on here, and NEC. So this would be awesome if you were running a bunch of crazy stuff in AppleWorks, or if you wanted to run a RAM disk, you could boot instantly off this. We'll throw this in an Apple II in a minute, and we'll just run a RAM test on it. I'm going to put that with the put it with these cards. All right, I got some more weird stuff in here. Looks like I've got some spare 2GS monitor cables. That's not relevant. There's 3 of them in here. And then here's a weird find from an educational 2E. It's a euphonic sound card. I think this is a speech card. Unfortunately, this connector is designed to plug into an external box that has a speaker and a headphone jack and whatever. I haven't figured out the pin out yet, so I haven't been able to really try it. However, I've also got an older version of the same card that has just a RCA out. This one needs some new caps. These are kind of but it uses the same Texas Instruments speech chip. So I need to make this one work, and then maybe I can figure out the software and all of that, and then try this one, and then just try to figure out what these pins are. It has I think it's a 10-pin connector on it, and I'm not sure why you need 10 pins. Maybe it provides power to the speaker. I'm not sure, but it looks like they made some. They took the discrete logic here, all the 74 pins, and then they've combined them into custom chips on this one, and made it the chip count way lower. But of course, this one now is probably not repairable if something goes wrong. While this one here looks like you probably could, and it's got, what is that? It's got, looks like 64K of RAM right here. It's all Texas Instruments RAM. I don't know why you need that much RAM. And then this one's got any RAM? Not sure. What are these? No, that's 74. Oh, it's got 4464s. So this has got 64K of RAM right there. So I think they're both functionally identical, but this is just a later version. So that's something I really want to take a look at. There's supposed to be some cool educational programs that, like for learning how to read and do math and stuff, that will talk to you. The quality is not, what we expect now, but still kind of a neat thing. So I'm going to set those aside as a separate project. And then I'm getting to the bottom of the barrel here. This is a Slotware run-of-the-mill parallel printer card. Super boring. I'm just going to throw it in the printer file. And what do we got here? Oh, look, another 80 column card. This is an Apple I. This is one that is socketed. The thing is, I got so many of these, and I'd almost rather use the RAM to fix Apple IIs and 2Cs. This is the same RAM that goes on the motherboard. You can only use so many of these. And then look, another third-party one. This one has some nice Samsung socketed RAM on it. And it's the same basic, it's like a clone of the Applied Engineering clone. Same two chips. It's got a GAL and a 74 and some RAM. And it's got some funky looking tantalum capacitors on it. Yes, Garth, I've done that. Those cards are separate from this pile. There's one in my Bell and Howell 2. I was going to do a separate thing about that. This is me trying to make a DB9 super serial card. I got the pinout wrong, so that's something to go back to another time. This one has a big cord on it, right for the noise. It's got a parallel cord on the end, and this one is actually a real Epson parallel printer card. This one has some stuff in ROM, which is really cool if you have an Epson, like a RX80 or an FX80, for doing graphics and extra fonts and stuff. So I've been hanging on to this. It does work, but I don't currently have an Epson printer to try it with. And this is something I want to put in an original Apple II if I ever set it up with a printer. So I'm going to hang on to that, put it in the box with the printer stuff. Oh, there's something funky in here. What do we got? Oh, it's another modem. A really, really old modem. It's an SSM Apple modem card. And this one has has a piece of tape over the transformer, I guess, so it won't bump into the next card. It has a big fuse, and it has the phone jack on this end of the card, which is weird because this is the back of the Apple II. This would be like under the keyboard, so I guess you'd have to run the phone cord inside your Apple II and plug it in. This is something I found in a machine, and I really don't have a way to test it because I don't have a phone line, so we'll have to figure that out another time. Let me put that in with the funky stuff, the old stuff. There we go. And then that bag's empty. I'm almost getting to the bottom of the pile, then we can start testing some stuff. Here is another disk interface card. And this one is the same ROM numbers as the 16, so yeah, this is another 16 sector card. It's weird how the components changed over time. They use different brands and stuff. This one's got like a Nishikon, so it's probably a little bit older because they tended to get cheaper as they went. This one's also made in USA, and this later one was made in Malaysia. So we'll try that one. And another modem. Oh, and that's probably what that first thing I pulled out at the beginning of the video goes to. This is a Hayes micro modem, which Hayes was a really well-known brand for modems. I'm going to plug that in there. So you end up with this. You got your speaker and your phone jack. That other one I showed earlier that was in the box, that one is probably a clone of this one. But you can tell the difference because this one says Hayes. And this was actually manufactured in '84 and branded as Micromodem 2E. It was really the same modem. They just said, oh, well, this is for the 2E. Like, people were like, oh, it's special, but it really wasn't. I think this might have been 1200 baud instead of 300. I'd have to look it up. But it also has a ROM from '86, so this might be really late. But I'm going to put that in the box with the old crusty stuff. And then we've just got a couple more in here. I've got another super serial card, same as one I already showed. This one does not have a cord, but there's this loose one in the box, so put those together. Come on, get in there. There you go. And then, it's not cooperating. All right, too many things. And I got a loose parallel cord, which I'll put in that bottom box. And then the last thing in the box here is a super special card. This is another 80 column card, and this one has soldered on MT RAM. So who knows if that works. It's got 4264s instead of 4164s. I would never trust this, but we'll test it in a minute. And then one more Apple II Disc 2 card, and it's also got the 16 sector ROMs. Hey Justin, how you doing? So I got 4 of these Disc 2 cards, 2 of these Unidisc Disc 2 cards, and a whole bunch of 80 column cards here to try out. I'm going to get rid of this big tub now that it's empty. Oopsie. And then these I'm not testing right now. These are the video cards. I'm going to do a whole video about Apple II video and RGB cards and all that. And then I'm going to do a video about more older stuff, like the 80 column card and the language card. I don't know if I'll be able to get to those today. I really wanted to test these Apple IIe things today, so I'm going to put these aside in case we have time. These are all the serial and parallel cards, which are boring, and I'm just going to put them over here. And then I've got the Disc 2 cards. I want to have one more card here. This is a modern thing. This is, I showed that on my other stream, but this is a 1316 selector. And you take this card and you piggyback it on one of these cards. And you can make it so that with this toggle switch, you can choose if you want to boot a 13 or 16 sector disc. So if you want to boot anything before DOS 3.3, you need a 13 sector controller. This basically replaces those 2 ROMs here, and then you just plug this in where the ROMs are on this card, and then you can just switch it with a toggle. And I'm actually going to make a video about that too. So this can go with the modern stuff. And I got all these little tubs to try to keep myself organized. And then what I got here. Now this is just random Apple II things that were in the box. This is something ancient I made. It's a parallel card to DV25. It's really short. I don't know why I made that. That can go in with the printer cards. Where did I put those? There they are. And another parallel cable. Actually, this is a weird one. Let me see. Yeah, it's got DV25s on both ends of the ribbon. Don't know why I made that either, but that can go live with the printer cards or the serial cards. Get rid of that. Did get one piece of mail today, and I was wanting to open it up. So if anybody doesn't mind, I'm just going to take a look at this real quick. This is from PotatoFi. This is not related to what we're working on, but I want to see what it looks like for another project. Open. I don't know if you don't know Joel PotatoFi. He makes 3D brackets for stuff, and I'm getting ready to sell off a Mac, and I wanted to put a SCSI to SD in. He sent me a note. And this here is a bracket for SCSI to SD that you can plug, or you can screw into a 3.5-inch drive bay. But what's cool about this one, instead of the normal one, is it has mounting holes on the bottom, mounting holes on the side, and it will fit into like basically any Mac that you can think of. This one in particular I was going to put into a Mac 2, which the regular blue SCSI or SCSI to SD bracket doesn't really fit in good. This is the last one he had, and normally he doesn't print them in this color, but I take it because it'll work. And then he sent me a present that I didn't order, but I'll take it. It's a blue SCSI 1.1 bracket, and the same deal goes with this. You put in your blue SCSI there, and it gives you side mounting and bottom mounting. And these are awesome for putting into an SE or like a 2CI Quadra 700 style case, because it's got these bottom holes here. It's got all 4 of them in both places, unlike the other bracket. So that's really cool. Anyway, sorry for the side step. And then if you want to see the regular bracket, here's a green one. This is a original blue SCSI, but it doesn't have all 4 holes on the bottom. So it works in a lot of cases, but not for what I wanted to do. So that is cool. I'm going to put that up there. There's one more card sitting up here too, behind this other blue SCSI. This is a Lyron card. This card's cool. This lets you use a Unidisc 3.5 or a smart port device like a floppy emu in hard drive mode on your Apple II or IIe, 2GS if you want. The 2GS has this functionality built in. These are really hard to find. Adrian's Digital Basement actually found about 6 of these, I think, in every single Apple II that he got out of a lot. I was yelling at him because he was trying to plug 5 1/4 into it. But these are awesome to have. I'm going to put that with the modern cards, even though it's not modern. It's from '85, but it does stuff like a modern card. So I'm going to put that actually right over here. Oh, and I just found another thing. I got too much junk laying around here. This can actually go up there. Here is a card. This is an Applied Engineering Z80 card. This lets you run CP/M on your Apple II. This will go with the older stuff that I'm not sure we're going to get to today. I don't have the CP/M disc, so I don't think I can test that right now. And then this is the same as that other card we saw earlier. This is another 1 meg card, but it only has 256 on it. Not sure. I guess that's just how it's shipped, and nobody ever upgraded it. This I found in a really busted up Apple IIe I got recently. The whole thing was smashed. But you don't find these very often, so I bought it just for that, basically. Let's see, that I don't need. And then, yeah, this can go with these cards. That one, and that one. And I have one more card, and then we'll start testing some stuff. And this is a reproduction of a Apple IIe diagnostic board that a dealer would have. Funny part about this card is, on purpose, they made the card too tall, so that if you put this in a customer's machine to run the tests, you couldn't put the lid back on, and it was done on purpose so that you would not leave your card in the customer's machine. Well, Garth, right now what I'm doing is dividing them up by what they do, next I'm going to figure out which ones work, and then I'm going to figure out which ones I need to put in computers I got to get rid of, and then what's left, I'll put in the spreadsheet. I don't have a spreadsheet for the Apple II cards. I have one for the NuBus cards, and for stuff like monitors and computers, but I have never inventoried all this Apple II stuff. Anyway, this card's kind of cool, and I'll show it to you in a minute. You can boot the Apple II off of this card from ROM, and it has a whole bunch of tests that you can run, like a keyboard test, RAM test, and some other cool stuff like that. But when I had a whole stack of Apple IIes to test, this was a really valuable card to have. And the toggle switch there lets you choose to boot normally or boot from this card. So I'm going to put that back there. And I'm going to put these cards over to the side. And I'm going to grab an Apple II, and we can see if we can try some of this stuff out. I've got a sort of crusty 2E here. It's missing a key, but I picked it because it had almost nothing in it. Oh, it's a parallel interface card for the Apple IIe. I can put that with that pile of crap. Where'd that go? There it is. All right, don't need that. This machine also has a Disk 2 controller in it, which is another 16 sector card. So we'll add that to the pile for testing. And then it's got a 1K Apple IIe 80 column card. This is the original 80 column card that shipped with the Apple IIe before the extended version came out. And this one doesn't even have the jumper on it, so it's really early. It says copyright 1981 on it. This is what they had. This is all we had a choice to have. So let me make sure this 2E works, and I'll add it to the stream here in a minute. It's got kind of a mangled video connector, but hopefully it works. Let's see. It's putting video out kind of badly. I wonder why that is. Give me a minute. Let me take this card out. No. It's doing something really crazy. I think this connector is damaged. Yeah, it's not showing video correctly. Let me grab another computer. Okay. Maybe that's why I had it set aside. All right. One sec. One thing I don't have a shortage of is Apple IIes. I can get to them. What we got here? That's a Stealth. That's not going to work. Here's another crusty education one. Let's see if this one works. I just tripped over my box. All right. This one want to work. Let's see, do you work? Yeah, you know what? This is doing the same weird thing with the video. Maybe there's something screwed up with this monitor. Why is it doing that? Ah, okay. It wasn't actually the computer. It was the monitor being dumb. So I'm gonna go back to the one I had chosen first because I like it better. Okay, here's the first one. This one is the one I tested. I wanted to make sure the 2E I was going to use was fully tested. I didn't test it with this monitor, so that was my mistake. So let's turn that on. That works. I'm going to add this to the stream. So you can see that. This is a non-enhanced original 2E. This one's in fact old enough that it uses a 2 Plus style case, 2 Plus style power supply. It's like early '83 is when this is from. So what I can do first, and where did I put that card? There it is. I'm going to show you the diagnostic card. We'll just run that through real quick. You just pick a slot and you get Apple IIe Diagnostics. So when you first run it, it shows you, it does a processor test and a ROM test, and it shows you if those things are okay. If those things are not okay, then you have bigger problems, and this card's probably going to help you with. You can do a memory test by hitting M, and then it'll run through basically something similar to the built-in diagnostics on the later 2E. I think that's where they sourced this from. And eventually it should show okay or not okay. And maybe it's stuck. Let me restart. Okay. Well, maybe we found a faulty 2E. Yeah, it doesn't like it now. Let's try that. Nope. 3, 2, 1. Try again. Nope. Well, maybe I did pick a bad 2E. Yeah, it doesn't like it. Reseat the RAM. And this video is supposed to be about cards, not fixing Apple IIs. So let me swap with the other machine real quick. Okay, here's another 2E. Let's try this guy. We have, looks like a 128K card in there. Don't think this one's enhanced either, though. This is a pretty old one. It's got an 82 board in it. Let's try this guy. Okay, you come up. Let's put the test card in. And flip the switch. There we go. So you should be able to see the processor test now, or the diagnostic test menu now. And I'm just going to run the memory test on this once and see if it freezes up like the other one did. And this can take a minute, and this one's also got 128K in it, but that was pretty quick. Now the thing is, if it runs into a problem, it's not really definitive. This is more or less like, is this working? Yeah, okay. But if there was something, you know, you've got 8 chips on the motherboard and 8 chips on the card, you don't really know which one's bad if it says it's bad. I mean, it gives you a number, but Then you gotta go look that all up, and it's annoying. So what I'd rather do is run a test off of a interface card. So you can use a just 2 card, and then all I need is a floppy emu or some other similar device. Give me a sec. I think I put them over here. Where are you hiding? Yeah, there's 3 floppy emus over here. That's not what I wanted. Oh, here's one. Got a W drive. And I just need a floppy cable. Floppy cable, where are you hiding? Those are all attached. Should have had this handy to go before I started. Sorry. Give me a moment. I know I had one here. Well then. I just saw one. There it is. There's one. Okay, I got a brand new one here. So I'm going to take the floppy cable, take off the DV19 adapter. I'm going to use this W drive because it's got some diagnostic stuff on it that I like. And when you hook one of these up, always make sure that the red stripe on this cable is next to pin 1 on the card. Make sure all the pins are all where they go, not one row off, because you'll blow stuff up. Interface card goes in slot 6, and should be able to boot. And I think this is already set to the device I want. Yep, computer inspector. Red is dead. So I can run it, an identification. It tells me it's a 2E with 128K. It's got an extended 80 column card and a just 2 card, which is exactly what we wanted. I can run a drive test, but that's mostly good for testing speed on a real floppy drive, which doesn't apply here. I mean, the fact that it booted it tells me pretty much all I need to know. I know that the card is good. And then I can run a RAM test, and then this breaks it up by what's on the board and what's on the 80 column card. Now, if I add in a higher capacity card, like say this 256K card, it should show up as extended memory. So say I put that in slot 2 and boot this back up. And run the memory test again. It should show me main, auxiliary, and expansion. Sometimes it says something else. I think it depends on if it's in the aux slot or not. And this will take a second. Hey Javier. Yeah, I like this program. It shows a lot of stuff that some other programs don't, especially on a 2E. Just the fact that it'll do this identification pretty quickly. If you put it in a 2 Plus or 2E or 2GS, it knows what it is. It knows what's in the slots, and it knows a lot of different kind of cards. So what I'm going to do here is I want to test a whole bunch of disc cards and a whole bunch of 80 column cards. So what I'm going to do is something you probably shouldn't do. I'm going to do 2 at a time. So I'm going to, this passed, so I'm going to put it away, the expanded memory card. And it booted this disc 2 card. So I'm going to get a separate bin. And this separate bin will be things that work. We know that's good, and we know that's good. So next I can take this fun one. This is the 80 column card with MT RAM on it, which I don't trust, and I would never sell it to anyone because MT RAM is garbage. But I have it, so let's try it. So make sure red's on 1. Put that back in slot 6, and we'll turn it back on. Well, that doesn't like that. Nope. Doesn't like that card. That floppy card. So let me pull that out. See if it starts with just the... Yeah, it works with that MT card. So this 2 card is suspect. We'll put that to the side, and we'll grab the next one. Okay, red on 1. Always remember, or you blow up your stuff. Okay, this one boots. And it sees the 128K. And let's just run the test real quick. Should be pretty quick with just this. Oh, look at that. The MT RAM needs repair, error 4 at whatever address. So, like I thought, MT RAM is crap. And what's funny is the machine booted, but because it's auxiliary memory, you would never know that this is screwed up until you try to run something that uses it, like AppleWorks or something that's going to switch bank switch to RAM. So I'm going to put this. Actually, I'm going to make a label and write bad on it, and then I'll throw it in the junk box. I can still use the card. I just would have to change the RAM out. But the thing is, I have so many of these cards. What's the point? And I don't really care if some of the RAM still works because it's MT RAM, so eventually all of it's going to fail. And I apologize for the blue screen, but I don't want to keep switching stuff back and forth. Just going to put this right here, bad. Okay. Let's try a different 80 column card. This is the same kind of card, but this one has Hitachi RAM on it. Throw the MT RAM away. You know, Justin, if the MT RAM was socketed, I would pull it off the board and just throw it in the trash right now, but it's actually soldered. The thing is, when Apple got cheap and they switched to that RAM, they also got cheap where they didn't put sockets anymore. So not only did they have RAM that sucked, the only time you ever have to take it off is when it's the RAM that sucks and they don't have sockets. So on an 80 column card, eh. But then they started doing that on the 2C, and it soldered it right onto the 2C motherboard, and it's like, why'd you do that? Let me run the memory test on this one with Hitachi RAM, see what we get. And that one's fine. So I'm going to pull that card and put it in the good bucket. I'm going to pull this disk card and put it in the good bucket. And we'll go for the next combo here. Got another disk 2 card. Red on pin 1. Always make sure. And we have this little weird generic looking, I don't know what it is, but it's got Samsung RAM on it, so maybe it's good. Let's plug her in. And this one seems like it's booting too. I don't want to store MT RAM. I could send it off to Adrian and he could put it in his old bucket of dead parts. But if something is bad, I generally throw it away. Let me run a memory test on this little weird card. That works fine. Okay. So, I mean, one thing I could do is I could take the nice RAM off this weird card and put it on the Apple card. But what's the point? I mean, this, other than not being Apple, this actually works. So, we can switch to another disk controller too, since these both are good. I'll take that out. I got one more of these to try. This is the older one that has the 16 sector sticker on it. And then I need another memory card. I've got this Apricorn, and this one has Texas Instruments RAM on it. So I'm gonna bet you it's good. Yeah, Justin, I wonder how much they saved though. I mean, I was talking to the guy who designed the, or who's on the team that designed the Video 7 cards, and they said that they did a contract with, I think it might have been HP or maybe it was Compaq, and they said in their documents, we want you to build this, but you are not allowed to use MT RAM. But on their Apple cards, they put that crap on there. At least they socketed it. Everybody knew that stuff was crap even back in the day. All right, let me run a test on this. And those are both working, so that's cool. Now these are just really basic tests. This is not like a full diagnostic or anything, but this is just showing me that this stuff works and it passes a basic check. I'm out of Disk 2 cards, so I'm going to switch over to this. This is one of the newer Unidisc cards. The same chipset, it's just a different connector. So I'll just use this adapter. And then I'm going to switch the next 80 column card, because that one was good. Here we've got Sequential Systems. And this has TI socketed, or unsocketed chips, but hopefully they work. All right, let's run the memory on this guy real quick. Does not see the other RAM. That's not good. Let me make sure I had that in the slot good. Keyboard this way. Everything is soldered. Huh. This has silkscreen for 8 capacitors, but only 4 of them are on there. But it looks like the solder is filled, so maybe they only wanted 4. Let me plug it back in one more time. Yeah, keyboard that way. And run memory test again. No, it doesn't see the card. That's weird. All right, that one's going to have to go for future testing, but for now I'm going to write bad on it. And I don't like to write on my equipment like with pens and stuff. I would rather put a label that I can peel off. The labels won't last forever, but they'll last long enough for me to look at it. So we know that disk card is good. We can switch out to the last one. I'll put that in there with its friends. And I've got one more of these to try. Okay. So this is the earlier version. Before it actually said what it was on it, just says I/O controller. Like it's a mystery. Let me try this goofy looking Applied Engineering card. This one has socketed Samsung chips. Yeah, 4164s. So let's see how this guy goes. All right. memory test. And it passes. So that's nice. Applied engineering stuff was generally pretty good. That's who made my Z80 card too. And then they've made a lot bigger cards than this, like RamWorks and stuff. I have some of those cards, but they're in machines that already work, so there's no reason for me to test them. I might show those off one day when we build up some kind of crazy Apple II. Here's a little baby 2E card, memory card. This is usually found in a Platinum or a really late enhanced. Let's just run it through a test real quick just to make sure it's good. Okay, 5. And that one's testing good too. So I'll put it in the good box. I have another one that's identical to that. Is it? Almost. Silkscreen's a little bit different, but it should be fine. Let's try that guy. Always make sure you put these in the right way too. You don't want to. You always want the chips. 99% of the time, the chips should be facing the right. Justin, I see most of the MT RAM from about late '84 to a lot of it in '85 and '86. I don't remember when Jobs left, but it's probably makes sense. RAM memory test. Got 2 more 80 column cards to test, then we can try some of the cooler stuff. All right, that one passes. I've got one more of these Apple original cards. This one has some really early looking Fairchild RAM on it. It's 4264s. It's Japanese RAM. Okay, memory test. It does not see it. Well, that's funny. Let me make sure the RAM's all seated. Oh, that doesn't sound like it was all the way in. And everything on here except this one chip and this one filter are socketed. Let's make sure all those pins are actually in. Yeah, looks good. Try it again. Okay, let's try it again. It does not see it. Okay. So something is screwy with this card. For now, I'm going to just put a bad sticker on it. But it has sockets, so later on I can try a different bank of RAM and see if that does anything to it. Okay, let's put bad on you. And we have one more, and that's a Checkmate card. I did test this previously, but I'm just going to do it again because I haven't done it on this computer, and I want everything to be all tested in the same spot. Put these bad cards here. Okay, run the RAM test. This will take a minute. What did I do with that little thingy? Oh, there it is. This takes considerably longer because there's a lot more RAM. Okay, so that's all okay. Now, there's one more thing I want to try, is this disk card that was bad. Sometimes it's just the ROMs that are failed. So I have this card here. I want to try swapping the ROMs and see if that does anything. That'll just take me a minute here. So this is from P5. When you're taking these chips out, be careful. Don't bend the pins. Don't use sharp tools. This tool I'm using is designed for pulling chips. It has a little lever. Okay, so that one goes there. And then we have Prom P6 is this chip here. And that's the upper chip. Now I can try installing this on here and just see if it will boot from it. This is just a little tricky to line up. Okay, there we go, I think. Let's make sure it's all lined up and then squish it in. Then I can turn this computer off and pull the disk controller. And my adapter. This can go in the good box. And remember, pin 1 is red. And back into slot 6. And it still makes the computer crash. So we know there's something else wrong with that card. All right, well, that was worth a shot. I'm just going to leave that connected to that. No, I'm going to take it off since it doesn't work. I'm going to put the little protective foams back where they go. Okay, so you can go live back there. I will put these ROMs back on just because I don't want to lose them. And we make one more bad sticker. So out of all of that, we ended up with, I think it's about a dozen good cards and 4 bad. And 3 of the bad cards are 80 column cards. And out of that, 2 of them are Apple. So that's interesting. I was really surprised that Sequential Systems card went bad since it has a nice TI RAM on it, but it also came out of a really junky machine. All right, so let me put the bad sticker on here. And now we can try, not that card, where'd that other card go? I wanted to try that older stuff real quick. I'm gonna have to change computers to do that. So give me a sec. I'll change the camera while we're doing that. So this guy's good. Put him in the good box. Okay, this is off. And take you away. So some of this older stuff, you have to use an older computer to test it. So let me grab a good candidate back here. This machine has been very reliable, so hopefully it won't let me down today. But you never know. What we've got here is an Apple II Plus. Let's just see if it wants to boot or start. I'll look in it first. See what we've got. This controller and a language card, 16K language card. Okay. So let me put this back in the main. You should not use a knife to pull out ICs. I think that's a really bad idea. All right, let's see if this blows up. Oh, it's got nothing in the card, so okay. Well, it seems to work. This is kind of later, middle of the road. This is like 1980. Let me plug in the W drive. You notice I always pull the card out because that way I can see the connector. Anyway, let's try to boot this. Okay. And we can do ID. So see, now it knows it's a 2 Plus with 64K, which means it's got 3 banks of 16 on the motherboard and then a bank of 16 on the expansion card. Let's just do a quick memory test on that. This all should be fine because this is my good, quote, good 2 Plus. Sorry if it's jittery. 2 Plus is really crappy with, it's not really NTSC. I'm surprised it even shows up at all. Okay, so the memory shows up good. So, and this card now I know is good, so I'll just leave it in there. What I really wanted to try on here is not one of these things. It's this goofy, I'll try that one in a minute. It's this goofy 80 column card that has this pass-through stuff on it. So an 80 column card on the 2 Plus or 2 goes into slot 3. And remember there's a slot 0 on these, so it's actually the 4th slot from the left. And then what you're supposed to do is plug this cord into the Apple II, video out, and then plug your monitor into this cord. Let's see if that does anything. Okay, let's see what it thinks is in there. Well, it sees an 80 column card in slot 3, so that's a good sign. There are some things here to test the monitor. Oh, I forgot there's no down arrow. So I can test 80 column text, and it says this computer can't do that. So apparently this test doesn't know how to do that. So what I'll do is just go into the regular prompt, and I'll type PR number 3, not 33. Oh, look at that. Well, I don't know if you can see that, but I wonder how well that shows up on on YouTube. Yeah, that looks totally horrible. What's funny is it looks totally rock solid on my Sony CRT here, but the signal timing is so out that my capture box just it doesn't know what to do with that. So that's kind of cool to know that 80 column card works. I never actually tested it before. It was just found in a weird machine. Yeah, Garth, what's weird is that on my monitor, it's like super sharp, rock solid, and it's a Sony PVM, but like just a green screen should be fine. It's just the capture card expects, you know, what do you call it? Good timing. All right, so I got a couple things here I want to try too. I'm only got a few things left here for today to try out. One other thing I want to try is this language card that I've never tried. So I'm going to take this one out of here. And these things are weird if you've never worked with an Apple II or II Plus. It actually has a ribbon cable that plugs into the bank of RAM, and then that chip plugs into this card. So this is all Apple branded RAM on here, and so there's one Apple branded chip, which got pulled from there and put onto here. And then this actually has, it's got MOSTEC RAM. So anyway, this card passed. Let's try this weird JDR Micro one. And let's see which way this goes. It goes this way, I believe. Yes. So this goes into the dip socket. This goes into slot 0. I'm going to plug video straight back into the computer because we're going to not use that 80 column card anymore. And I'll turn you on. Oh, is that bad? Is it? Oh, that looks loose. Hold on. Nope, maybe it's bad. Doesn't seem to want to stay in. Maybe that's why this card was free. Okay, so this is going to go in the bad pile. It could just be the RAM's bad, or it could be any of these other chips are bad. The thing is, I'd rather just save this as parts because I've never heard of this brand, and I really don't trust MOSTEC chips. So this can go in the junk pile. Where's the junk pile? Oh, over here. All right. And then we've got this old ROM card. I'm going to try that out. That goes in slot 0. It does not plug into the main board. And it won't boot because I don't have enough RAM. So if I turn this back off and flip this switch and get rid of the disk card, because I don't want disks for this. Okay, that worked. And then flip it one more time. So this is an AppleSoft card. So basically this is duplicating the ROMs that are on here. This card would be useful on an Apple II that has integer ROMs to add AppleSoft ROMs. But since I was able to flip it and it worked either way, I know that's good. So that gets to go back with its pile of old stuff. And I'm going to put my good language card back in. And the floppy. And then one more card. All I can do with this is I can test to see if it's recognized. I don't have the software ready to go with it. But we can do that at another day. All right, see you, Garth. This is the last card I'm going to look at. I'm just going to see if it shows up, and it doesn't. So I don't even know if it works. I don't know what happens if I hit PR number 4. Oops, I think this keyboard needs some cleaning. I don't think the 4 key works. There it goes. Yeah, I just need to, yeah, no. Okay, so it's a mystery if this card works. I'm gonna make a whole video about this. Z80 cards for the Apple II. I've got this Applied Engineering one. I've got some generic one, and I've got a original Microsoft one. So whenever I got all that partially tested, so I can actually show it, we'll come back to that. And I'm curious what happens if I try to run the 2E card in the 2 Plus. Error. Yeah, that's not going to work. It doesn't know what to do with it. Okay. Oh, hey, Steve. You got here right when I'm getting ready to go. But I was just trying to boot a 2E card in a 2 Plus. It didn't work. So what did we figure out here today? The 2E diagnostic card works great in the 2E. The CPM card, let me switch the camera. over to here. The CP/M card doesn't show up, so I don't even know if it works. We found a bad language card, 3 bad 80 column cards, and a bad Disc 2 card, which is really unusual. This 80 column card is probably bad RAM, and it's socketed, so that could be fixed. The other two, the one with the MT RAM, I don't care, and then that third-party one, whatever. But as for cards that are good, the ROM card, the 80 column card for the 2 Plus, and this whole batch of cards all worked. I was just going to count them real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and there's 2 of these little guys. 15 plus this big card. 16 working cards there. So that's sweet. And that is all of the Apple II cards that I have to test today. But here's a preview for a future stream. I have a box of NuBus cards, so we'll do a Mac version of this stream sometime. There's a video card, there's a big ass video card, there's a small video card. This is not a NuBus card, it's for an LC Ethernet card, and other really weird cards like this card that's composite video out. I have a couple of those to try, and some more rare stuff like this SCSI 2 Atto card. It's got a external and an internal connector, and it creates a whole nother SCSI bus on a NuBus Mac. And this card I've tested just briefly, but I kind of want to see if it'll do stuff like boot, how many devices it supports, and stuff like that. So that'll be a fun thing to do. I'll set up a Mac too, and we'll sit around and try that out one day. But for now, yeah, it is fancy, Steve. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. And I appreciate you guys coming around and hanging out with me while I did this stuff. Anyway, I got to put all this junk away, and I'm going to do that off stream. And hopefully I'll see you guys soon. Have a good one. Bye.